Backheal your demons into the night. Celebrate madness under the floodlights. Welcome to the Burnie Podcast.
So in tonight's episode we've got a wee bit of a comeback story for the goal of the week, and for some reason Mark's considered taking these 2011s up to Loch Lomond. We've got two guests from the first team lined up for tonight as well.
Yes, this week we have Scott Richards and Martin Maguire from the senior team, and to discuss their tenure as under-20 managers and their cup triumph and the previous couple of games with the seniors.
Yeah, but before we start, what was the script of the weekend? Was it good, or were you kicking goalposts?
No, it was excellent, mate. It was a very nerve-wracking weekend. We had our first test against a proper A-side in Linlithgow Rose, and we came out victorious. We won 4-3, so it was our first victory against a proper, former A-side. But it was really good. Graham was particularly happy, and we will actually, which I've just remembered about, we'll stick in the video of him getting his head shaved. If you remember from the previous podcast, he promised as soon as we beat an A-side, he would let the kids shave his head. So I've got a video of that, of all the players shaving his head.
Unbelievable.
So we'll put that up just now. Come on, it's time now, surely.
Unlucky, Oliver, wee man, unlucky. Back! Come on, midfielders, get in! Yeah!
Guess who's losing their hair?
Try to go slow it down. Right, next one. Trust me, you'll be here all day, just wee bits. Just take it nice and easy. There we go. Oh, super soon this one. Aye, slower.
Take your time, enjoy it.
That's me even getting in there. It's fine, we'll work it down. We're working it down, don't worry. Mind there is hair at the back of me. Jackson's got Dom. Got a stung off the eye. Son, I feel about 10 ton lighter.
Yeah.
What about yourself?
We played Arniston Rangers. They're a new team. I think a couple of teams like Bonnie Rig and Leaf folded last year, so they just took players for them, so we didn't really know what to expect. We were 2-0 down 30 minutes.
Right.
Scored right on the stroke of half time to make it 2-1. It was Lewis who scored for about 30-40 yards out. It would have been a good one for a goal of the week too. And then after half time we just ran right through them, scored 4 goals and won the game 5-2, so it was a good reaction there. But
What changed at half time then? Was it your team talk?
Myself and Trevor just went through them really.
Right.
Just told them to move the ball quicker. We changed the shape up as well, and then we just came out flying in the second half. First half we were terrible, too slow on the ball, sloppy passes. They were up for it more, so we had to get them up for it for the second half and won 5-2.
Oh, brilliant, good stuff. So moving on, the seniors, heavy sigh.
Aye, 2 disappointing games for them obviously. Beat 7-0 off of Cowden Beef, and obviously 2-0 to Edinburgh South last night.
Yeah, a poor result Wednesday night, and I'm quoting here from the community page. Would have seen us push back up the table. There were some good spells of play, but finishing let the side down. A couple of slack goals to concede, but it's on to Saturday, and we're looking forward to a local derby against Bathgate Thistle. Were you at any of the matches at all? Did you see any of them? Or?
No, I wasn't there, but I was just discussing it with some of the boys who were obviously playing, some of the coaches as well. I think for the Cowden Beef game they were 1-0 down right on the stroke of half time, changing a couple of things at half time and ended up losing 7-0. And then for the Edinburgh South game, I heard there was plenty of chances for them to go and win the game, but I think it was just a case of Edinburgh took their chances and Blackburn didn't, so it was just one of the nights for them really.
Cool. Well, we'll discuss it a bit more in depth and detail with Martin and Scott and later on. But in some better news, we have a tale of true Burnie passion and selflessness as part of our Purdy Worldwide Goal of the Week. After an unfortunate injury, young Alex Hogg from the 2011 Blacks underwent surgery on Monday to realign the bones in his pinky, repair the tendon and fix the nail bed. Apparently the doctors had advised a 4-week layoff, but just 6 days later, determined not to let his under-15 teammates down, he begged to play in a protective brace and then went out and scored this goal of the week.
No, that was an incredible display of resilience and commitment, so well done to Alex.
Yep, well done, Alex. Do you know actually what we haven't talked about yet? The new 3G. Have you played on it yet?
Yeah, we've trained on it once.
But you've not played on it yet?
Oh no, we did actually.
Of course, Arniston, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's obviously freshen it up. It's better than the old one. Didn't get me wrong, there's rubber pellets everywhere.
Yes,
but
especially
as it starts to bed in, like it'll obviously, I think it'll be a lot better for us than the old one. So I've enjoyed it so far, but I've not enjoyed cleaning my shoes afterwards.
Yeah,
no, not my shoes, my boots. I'll get in trouble if
yes,
people ain't giving me on shoes.
Boots, football boots only, or specific AstroTurf boots, trainers. So, shall we introduce our guests this evening?
Let's do it.
Since they're sitting there patiently waiting. Welcome to the podcast, Scott and Martin. How are you doing this evening? Rested after last night's game?
Yeah, it'll be alright. So. Full day's work covers rest, yeah, it's always good that way. But you've been on annual leave? I'm on annual leave now, so it's actually alright for me. I've got no reason to be tired. I've had a plenty of time in my bed, so I'm alright.
Alright, what is it you do yourself outside of the football?
I'm in emergency services, so I work shifts, so thankfully I'm off just now, so there's no night shifts or late shifts like that for me, so busy.
Good stuff, good stuff. What about yourself?
So I work in pensions with Aegon, so relationship manager for workplace pensions.
Oh,
as exciting as it sounds.
Yeah.
It's 2 in a row we've had with the pensions.
I know, a recurring theme here. So let's go right back to the beginning. Can you tell us about, and we'll start off with yourself, Scott. You tell us about your very first memories of football and what made you fall in love with the game.
Probably just the same as everyone, but I think if I was to ask my mum, it would be kicking batteries about the living room, to be honest. That was the first experience she told me about football, so kicking anything really, and that's what I've done ever since. Memories, Henrik Larsson, that was my hero growing up, so obviously watching him made me want to be him, and then obviously just joining a local team, Broxburn, and pretty much rest is history, as they say. But I think taking it back to that, it would be the batteries in the living room first, and then now I'm trying to kick anything on a Saturday. So.
What about yourself, Martin?
Well, I actually fell out of football when I was 18 months and broke my leg, so some people will be saying that I'm still falling out of football, but thankfully I'm not breaking my leg anymore. But apparently I've had a ball at my feet ever since I was young, and then first kind of memories I had was down the park with my dad, wearing Paolo Di Canio, red boots for his time at Celtic, and kicking it with my right foot. My dad said, no, you need to try and kick it with your left. Still trying to avoid kicking with my left as it is today, just throw up and header it now. But no, that's my earliest memories, and then to be fair, just being all over the country, young, just playing everywhere and anywhere, and thankfully my parents were able to kind of take me to the football, and I was just still playing to the day.
Well, my next question was going to be about like influences in your life. Obviously, you said Larsson, you've just said Di Canio, but what about like a personal influence in terms of for yourself? So maybe you were introduced by your parent or whatever, but was there anybody you can remember it, even like grassroots or anybody like that, like an uncle or something who really inspired you to do well and push on?
To be honest, I was probably really fortunate when I first joined Broxburn. It was a guy, Stevie Maskery, that was my first coach. Obviously played with St John's and stuff like that professionally, and to be honest, he just kind of seen something in me and took loads of time aside. He would take me kind of down the park with his son as well and do additional training sessions, so he really kind of pushed the both of us on to kind of take football up a bit more seriously. In terms of personal life, it would probably be my granda. He's been up and down the country taking me everywhere as well, which I'm sure he'll be delighted when the petrol bill comes back through at the end. But they would be the two main ones, and then obviously I've had a lot of good coaches kind of throughout, a lot at kind of Broxburn, and then a good few coaches as I moved into kind of pro youth level. But those were the two that probably stand out early life, and then obviously throughout life.
Yeah. I think personally for me, maybe my dad, about the full country, but he used to work down near the airport, at Glasgow Airport, and I was actually with Morton Pro Youth, and he'd leave work at 7 in the morning, I'd be training at Morton, and then he would be getting back up the road till like after 10 o'clock at night, so the shift that he put in for that, on a personal level, I would say him. And a kind of professional setup, when I went into Morton, I went in there under 17s, but I was only 15, I'd just been in at Rangers and get let go, and basically the head of youth there was John Laird, and he seemed to take a liking to me very early doors, and was basically trying to push me through the youth system as quick as possible. I'd been up like with the reserves and with the first team, and they actually had to lie to the manager saying that I was older than what I actually was, and I've always been quite tall, so he just believed them, and then I just kind of was there for a wee while, but he's probably the one that kind of forced me through the setups at Pro Youth, so professionally probably I would say him.
Did you get away with that because you were bald as well? Or?
I had hair back then, surprisingly enough. Actually, I had a full head of hair, used to straighten the back and gel it up at the front, so that's probably
another couple of inches.
I know. I only shaved mine off because somebody won like somebody else earlier on.
Aye, it's quite a Scott Brown then, shave it after the save.
I know, just shave it before games and get in the zone.
Aye. So was football always something that you thought, yeah, this is going to be my life? Did you always thought that, or did you have other thoughts about the sports careers? Or?
Nah, to be honest, probably wasn't very good at anything else, to be honest. I would say probably like 95% of young kind of boys, you grow up thinking you're going to play football, and fortunate to have an okay kind of try it. Obviously signing with Rangers at kind of 14, you think that's probably you'll be in the setup and you'll go through that and you'll hopefully make it as a football player, but we all know that doesn't always work out that way, so there wasn't anything else, unfortunately. That's why I live the exciting life of pensions now, because football obviously didn't quite work out the way I thought it was going to. How about yourself?
I know, just the same, always been football. Like, you know, some kids when they're growing up get these experiences that they're in football, or they gymnastics or swimming. For me it was just football. I never done any other sports. Was just be as many football classes I could get to throughout the week, so it's just always been football for me, and been fortunate like Scotty to get to a decent level, maybe not the level that I wanted to get to, and obviously if you fall back down as it comes on, but to still be playing at 31, playing at a decent level, like, no, I feel quite privileged.
Oh, brilliant. So, like, what was it like in the early years, you know, coming through the ranks of your football? Like, was there any, like, challenges or, like, big moments that still stick with you just now that you still use on a Saturday with Blackburn?
I think, like, getting knockbacks and like, learning from knockbacks in life, but also knockbacks on the football pitch. Obviously, we touched on it earlier on, we get beat last night. The thing for us is that we don't let that kind of sit with us. There's going to be parts in life that things knock you down, and last night was a sore one, because I don't actually think we deserved to get beat last night. I thought we played well for long spells of the game, but it's just trying to get that thing that's it done now. We can't like think about that, and if you continue to think about that, things are just going to get embedded and get worse. That's out the window now, and then try to move forward, and that's something that came back to me, like getting let go from clubs that you've been at. If you just let that get to you, you'll never find another club. You need to get your confidence back up, and that's just the kind of the big part of football. One failure can then obviously turn back into a success if you look at it for the right mindset.
Yeah, I would pretty much reiterate exactly what Martin said. I mean, I would say that the main challenge that I remember kind of growing up was probably being through here and being at Rangers. Obviously, Glasgow we all know it can be cliquey, Martin. And going in at 14, a lot of the boys had been at Rangers for a long time and knew each other and were all pals, and coming through the kind of Broxburn and trying to fit in and trying to kind of get into their kind of small circle was really challenging. So you've got to grow to learn different kind of cultures, you've got to learn different kind of friend groups, you've got to let your character grow and be kind of open to being vulnerable and a bit of slagging and stuff like that. And I think when you're younger you probably don't appreciate slaggings as much as we do now as a bit older. You know, changing rooms and growing up in changing rooms is a lot more different to kind of what you're probably used to at school when you're just the kind of best player and everyone kind of just wants to be your pal. you're kind of going into youth level where everyone's got the same goal, and it's getting used to kind of potentially stepping on other people's toes when you're going in there. So that's probably something that's carried throughout now. I think now there's a dressing room culture, and we've got a good dressing room culture at Blackburn, and it's hard. You've got to learn to kind of have thick skin, and you've got to learn quick comebacks, especially with some of the characters we've got in the team now. So that's probably the biggest, I would say, if I was to give a lesson out, which I'm in no means entitled to give them, but it would be kind of, don't take yourself too seriously, and allow yourself kind of to be vulnerable and get a bit of slagging off every once in a while.
Yeah, just take it on the chest, really.
Exactly that, and change rooms are some of the best kind of crack that you'll have. The boys that are there, some of them they'll be pals for the rest of your life, some of them obviously you'll not want to know again, but you've got to learn to not take yourself too seriously, mate. If you did, football would be a horrible game if you take yourself too seriously.
I think the thing is as well, for younger people that are obviously we are community teams, and the younger teams, like speaking as in being through community teams and getting older, you actually don't realise how much being part of these teams sets you up for life.
Yeah.
Your interactions with coaches, with parents, with your teammates, like you're dealing with, like Scott says, different cultures, diversity, different social backgrounds, and to be able to communicate with all these people. If it doesn't work out for you in football, Scotty's job, he'll be speaking to people every day, I'll be speaking to people every day in my job, and the ability to then interact with people is all learned from being part of these teams, and I don't think you actually realise that when you're part of them, but going back, it gives you that confidence to be able to actually go into life and be able to handle yourself in any kind of situation.
Yeah, no, I think you're quite right there, because there's quite a few times where I say to the guys as well, it's like, guys, if you can actually listen and take instructions here, you will go far. Mm-hmm. Like, if you can interact and be part of a team, it will set you up.
I think the biggest thing you learn in football is like discipline, like
respect. And respect, I think, that's a big key one. I mean, you've already touched on my next question, which is, what kind of advice would you give your younger self? But if you were, I think what I'd like to do is actually look at, if you could go back in yourself now when you got dropped by Rangers, so to say, what would you give yourself advice-wise to bring yourself back out of that? Because that must have been a really heart-wrenching thing, to actually know that you're not going to make your dream a complete reality.
Is it his dream to play for Rangers?
Something maybe not quite Rangers, but I think probably a bit of self-belief. I think every kind of kid could probably do with having a bit more self-belief in himself, and if I could go back to kind of 17-year-old Scott, it would be a case of like, it's not the end of the world that you've left there, and have a bit of belief to go somewhere else. But I think at that time you just kind of think that's you, and I'll just go and I'll get a job like everyone else does, and I'll set myself up some other way for the rest of my life. But it probably was that. I mean, it was a bit of a hard knock, and rather than having a bit of kind of resilience to go again, I probably went the other way and went under and just took the easy way out and went and played kind of local at Broxburn, and now and by no means do I regret kind of playing at Broxburn in the level that I've played at, but yeah, I mean, definitely took the easier way out rather than kind of.
No, but I think the easiest route is just to stop playing.
Yeah.
That's the easy route, and I think it's a credit that you've kept it going. You know what I mean? You've obviously got a talent and a skill there, so.
It depends who you're asking. But, I hide it well on a Saturday.
No, I think for me, mine's probably wasn't with the kind of Rangers thing when I was only there for a short period. You were there for a good amount of years. Mine was probably Morton when I did the work out there. The head of youth left and things kind of went south. But probably need to take, in hindsight, some reflection on that myself. I've always been tall, bigger, and people will probably be surprised when I say I had a bit of pace when I was younger because I was bigger than everybody. But you kind of rest on your laurels. I went from playing at that level to Morton, playing in the division below against teams that I'm obviously not as good, and you feel like you're better than everybody. And probably wouldn't happen now because I think the younger generation are more into their gym and going and doing the right things. Yeah. I probably wasn't doing the right things to continue to play or push at that level. Everybody catches up with you, and the physicality, once you weren't as strong as what you were physically dominant people or pace and stuff like that, that's when it kind of caught up with me. So probably hindsight for me would be or a lesson for anybody for my mistakes, and I don't rest on their laurels. Like if they think that you're doing well, you are doing well, but somebody's always doing more work than you in the background.
Well, exactly.
So
You can't just rely on talent alone. You have to put the hard work in as well to complement that.
Yeah.
No, that's a good honest answer. I appreciate
So
that.
you've obviously given like a lot of advice, like taken away a lot of advice and like some good points away for that. But if you had to pick just one piece of advice that you could tell your younger self, what part of all of that would it be?
I think it's pretty much just been said, mate. It's kind of hard work beats talent. When talent doesn't work hard, that's that pretty much. And I think that doesn't really matter who you speak to about my career, but that's something my career. I thought I had a lot of talent, but I didn't really work very hard. And some might say I still don't work hard, so that would be mine.
No, it's definitely like that. That's the only kind of thing that I can say. I mean, whenever I turn up to training, I'll work hard. I think Scotty's the same. I know he's put himself in there, that he'll work hard, he'll try hard at training. It's the bits away from training that these people nowadays that are high end in sport, they commit themselves and they work.
It's a complete lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle. They eat right, they prepare right, they're in the gym the day after game stretching off. It's a complete mentality, and it's something that I didn't do back then. And Scotty will have played with players and played against players, I know I have, and players that have got to a right high level that I remember playing against them and going, well, I wasn't a bad player, but I certainly wasn't winning Champions Leagues and stuff like that, like the way Andy Robertson is doing.
Yeah.
He's the same age as me, played against him growing up, good player, but to get to the level he's got to, he's committed himself every single day, and that's what people need to do, even just to get the best out of themselves. You might not get to the highest level, but give yourself the best opportunity.
I like that. So you both stepped into coaching with under 20s, is that right?
Scotty forced me.
Scotty forced it. I mean, that's no small task. How did that opportunity first come around?
Probably best sat with me into it. It was a bit of a strange one. I'd done my knee, I'd done my meniscus and chipped a bone in the kneecap, and about the October time I was waiting on my surgery in the January, and originally I'd kind of said to Andy about potentially just going in and helping him for the following season. So obviously there was no kind of talk at that time about Andy taking the senior job, so he was very much going to stay at 20s, and the original was I was going to go in and try and help him as his assistant, and then everything kind of happened with Jamie. He left. Andy was fortunate kind of enough to get the job, and he just phoned me and said, you know, would you want the job kind of as the manager rather than the assistant? And at that time I was probably quite in a bad place with my knee. I wasn't sure how kind of long the recovery was going to be. The surgeon was kind of kept telling me it would be fine, and it just never seemed to take the rehab, so it probably kind of saved us in that aspect. So taking it on kind of full time, and then when I got offered that, the first thing I wanted to do was get as much kind of experience in as possible, and I wanted kind of as many seniors in as well. So I'd asked Martin, I'd asked Jazza, and I'd asked Dave Henry. Dave Henry's obviously a coach full time as a job, so I thought he'll bring a lot of kind of session plans and he'll be able to kind of do a lot around that side. Jazza's the captain of the club and he's been here for 10 plus years. Obviously everyone knows him, so I thought that'd be excellent. And then I knew Martin had a similar kind of upbringing to myself, and through speaking to each other on a Saturday away from coaching, we always have kind of similar views. We'll text each other on a Saturday night after the games and it's always the same sort of thought path. So I thought if I was to take a job, it would be better to have all of them. It just didn't quite come to obviously fruition with Jazza and Davey. It wasn't obviously feasible for them to come in and help, but fortunate enough that Martin could, and that was kind of how it all came about. It was all really quick. Big thanks to Alan Harris for that, because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know any of the boys' names, didn't know anything about what to do with 20s. I'd coached at a youth team before that. I'd coached at Broxburn for a good few years, but it's a whole different kind of
kettle of fish.
Yeah, kettle of fish and taking a 20s. So Alan kind of was helping me shout on names onto the park and remind I was speaking to the right person. So him and Brian Meakin, who obviously has got Blackburn running through his blood, I think if you cut him open it would just be Burnie. And yeah, fortunate those two kind of helped us through it, and then that was kind of it. The rest was history. Andy ended up being the senior manager, and then I kind of took the role as the 20s. That's my side there.
No, that's basically it. I've obviously done a bit of coaching when I was younger. I did that at university while I was playing football. I did sports coaching and development. Don't think Scotty knew that, but basically we just be going pretty well and we have the kind of same views. To be honest, if it was anybody else that was doing it, I wouldn't have helped out. We got on well with Scotty, and if I could have helped him out of that, that's why I kind of done it, to try and help him out as best as possible. But I had no interest to do it at that point in time until Scotty asked, and then I ended up thoroughly enjoying it.
It made sense.
That's it, alright.
What was like the biggest challenge, you know, going for players to them being the people setting the standards and making decisions?
I didn't have a problem with setting standards. I think I've got my own personal standards at seniors, and I think to be successful you need to have standards anyway. So it wasn't so much the setting the standards, it was probably dealing with, we carried a bigger squad, so we had about maybe 22, 23, and it's managing 23 different personalities, you know, and then letting 5 or 6 down every week because they're not going to be part of that 18. And then it's managing them so that they kind of keep their spirits high. They come back to training on a Monday, they come back to training on a Wednesday, and potentially getting that squad for a Friday night. That's what I found most kind of challenging, especially around about 16 to 19, you know.
They're just raging.
That age.
They're just raging,
And they don't listen, let's be honest. They'll kind of know better, and we've all been in that boat where we think we know better as well. So that was the biggest challenge, I would say. I don't know if you'd agree, but I found that.
Found that challenging. I think that I found a bit of challenging for 70%, 80% of people that it wasn't an issue, but some reasons why you're getting boys that can't make training or can't make games, couldn't really get my head around some of them at times. Boys going on 7 holidays, and Josh McGowan will know this is him I'm talking about. The boy was never in the country, do you know what I mean? So don't know if he was trying to avoid tax or something like that, but he was never here. Every time we went to pick a squad on a Friday, Josh was saying he wasn't available. So it's just wee things like that we didn't know what was coming or going, and then try to get a solid squad every week to go and play games. It was difficult because somebody was always pulling out or whatever. So that's probably what I struggled with the most. Regards to actually coaching them and that, there'd be sometimes that you could see them maybe going through the motions and their training or whatever, but when you gave them a drag, normally they were actually pretty good. And I've got to say, most of the boys, I'd actually say all of them, when you gave them information, you could actually see them trying to implement it. So none of them were bad boys. They generally gave their all and did try and do what you told them to do. So I wouldn't fault any of them, other than Josh and his holidays.
And Blair Nelson.
So remind us what you won with the under-20s then, because that must have been a special moment.
It was good that obviously we won the kind of under-20s League Cup, which was, we probably didn't appreciate how hard it would be to win with that squad of boys. To be honest, when we first went in, all you kind of heard about before that was how good the Blackburn 20s were. So I'd been to watch them a couple of times the season before, and they got unlucky with getting kind of beaten in the last game of the season for the league. They got beaten in the cup final, and so when we kind of went in, we thought, no, this is going to be easy, but we should win something with the squad of boys that we've got. And as the season went on, winning seemed to get harder and harder, and results just kept going the opposite way. And then obviously going to the cup final, and we'll probably touch on it a wee bit more, but getting a man sent off 25 minutes into a cup final totally scuppers any plans that you've got to winning. You obviously automatically fear the worst when that happens, but no, it was obviously a proud moment for us, first year kind of coaching, to win something as well.
Absolutely, the first year to actually win something. You're better than Ange Postecoglou.
Well, it's a little bit his second season, isn't it?
Aye. And how did you prepare for that cup final? What was the atmosphere like over the last week in training and on the day as well?
Positive, aye.
We had a great semi-final. Scott wasn't at the semi, so that's why we went so well.
Boys were
brilliant. No, I was trying to pick the boys up because, like Scotty said, we started the season off flying. I don't know what it was, but it was 7 or 8 games. We'd won 7 or 8 in a row. We'd scored quite a lot of goals, and then first kind of real challenge we got was Heriot Watt at home, and we went 1-0 up in the game, and then Heriot Watt scored a worldie where they played probably the best passing goal I've seen in my life. Popped it about, scored, and then they scored a second for about 25-30 yards, and then for the rest of the game we battered them, we just couldn't score. And then after that there seemed to be a wee dip. We lost a couple of games that we shouldn't have lost, and then we went out to another cup that we shouldn't have went out of, to Armadale, and things just seemed to look like it was kind of petering out. So there was a wee kind of lull halfway in the season, and then it did kind of get to the point when we realised that this was the kind of only thing that we could go for. We kind of went all in for it, and the boys' confidence that we started to get it back up, and I think everybody was really excited for the final because it was a good group of boys, and we obviously got so close the year before, never got there, and then this year, last year looked like it wasn't going to pan out, and that was like kind of their opportunity, so everybody was kind of really enthusiastic about it, well, if I remember right.
Definitely. The week leading up was really positive. Training was, I mean, you're naturally going to a cup final. I mean, we've all played football, and no football, you don't really need to be kind of G'd up to go to a cup final, but that week was a good kind of week of training, and then the atmosphere was good the whole time. I felt like boys were kind of relaxed. The team talk before the game was fine, relaxed, a bit of a different one from my point of view, but everything felt like it was fine. It wasn't until poor Callum Knox got sent off that maybe started making things a bit more nervous. But
he's got the bus up and all that, on the Friday.
We did, and a big kind of thank you to Brian Meakin for sorting that, because not to kind of put anyone in a position, but obviously we weren't going to get a bus, and Brian went and sorted that kind of on his own back, so that just gives the boys a chance to be together right for the off. Obviously we managed to stitch a few boys up with the whole shirt and tie thing as well. It's just again,
I was sat with that in the semi-final.
Right. Just at the sales boys, you know what I mean? It gives them a laugh before they go out.
Got to give a shout to Alfie Norris for that, by the way, because Alfie knew that it was a stitch up for boys to wear shirt and tie, right? But he was picking up the goalie Ewan, and Alfie wanted to get Ewan that much that Alfie turned up in a shirt and tie to get Ewan. So fair play to him. It was good. That was good for Alfie.
No, it must, because when you think about it, most of the time when you go to these matches, you're all coming in different cars, different places.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're, I suppose on a bus it's a good, much better team atmosphere. And
With the tunes in it.
With the tunes bouncing, aye.
They were not bad. It was with Jamie Boyle, wasn't it?
Well, much better on the way back.
They were better on the way back, because me and
Couple of
Martin kind of
drinks
stepped in and made sure there was a few good songs on. But
Generally
generally,
atmosphere after as well, back on the bus.
that was brilliant. And again, obviously, I'll speak about him quite a bit, but it's the Brian Meakin just made the atmosphere. So
Have you
much
seen
better.
that picture of him with the cup? Like that, it's like he deserves that. Do you know what I mean?
And that's what we feel. And see, to be honest, the biggest compliment I can give Brian is just how much the boys loved him. Like genuinely, they just adored him, and that was reciprocated because Brian loved them and would do anything for them. An example of that is the bus. So when you win it, obviously it's good for us, but it's about the boys, and it's about people like Brian and Alan, who gave up a lot more time than what we did, and done a lot more than what we did at that club as well.
I think, like, obviously it's really hard to be a volunteer in football, like as a coach, but to be a volunteer when you're not even coaching, you're just kind of doing the dirty work that nobody really sees. Like, that's even harder, I think, because you're not directly engaged with the actual football.
We were extremely lucky. Like, we turned up and we had everything at our disposal to just go and coach. We never had to worry about dealing with referees, dealing with other secretaries, dealing with the social media. Alan took care of all of that. Alan was superb. And then you've got Brian, who must stay at the Purdy Worldwide because he's always there, and he's the support that he showed us and that he showed the boys was superb. Whether it was win, lose or draw, he was always in there, and he picked everybody up as well. So his gesture for the bus was superb, and to be fair, the boys' gesture to Brian after it was just shows you how much that they feel for Brian as well. So they too, massive credit needs to go to them.
And what did that year, teach you about yourselves, not just as players, but like as people who are part of a leadership group?
And did it make you better footballers?
I felt it made me feel. I thought I had a better season last, but I didn't play great when I first signed for Blackburn. I didn't have a great season, which is obviously my third now. But I think like you were constantly thinking about the game when you were watching it. You're thinking about it, and you just feel like you were more zoned in. I certainly felt like I had a better kind of season last year because of it, and I feel like I've started this season off personally I feel like I've been doing all right, and I think it kind of comes from thinking about the game more. With regards to what we've kind of learned from it is we kind of already knew this because we've been in about football for ages, but just how different people are and the kind of message you need to get across to people and get it across in kind of different ways. There is ones that are very much, you always hear it, arm round the shoulder, and then other ones that kind of need a kick. It's trying to kind of figure the boys out at times, and you might think what's right for one might be right for them all, but it definitely isn't. So that's probably one of the major things we kind of looked at, and then just patience with younger lads. Like, they're not going to be brilliant every week, and we've obviously got young Blair up with us now with the first team, and I think that's the thing with patience, and probably he needs patience himself. He's obviously came from a younger age group, probably doing really well, came into us, he's been absolutely flying. He's a very good player, but he's going to probably have bad days. We're all going to have bad days, but it's just that patience. Like, well, you're doing well, just
keep at it.
Just keep at it.
Aye, definitely. I would say probably taught the good old cliche of like, don't get too high, don't get too low, because a Friday night you were probably taking Friday night's result home with you, and then my poor wife's probably sick of hearing about Blackburn under 20s, and she's probably sick of hearing about the seniors, and that probably led into a Saturday. And when I got back playing, that's probably when, and again it's probably a personal thing, but the mindset of like being 100% in for the 20s probably shifted, because I wanted to kind of focus on my own playing, and having been out for a year I really wanted to focus on that. And that's probably the don't get too high, because when you win a Friday night you need to get back up on the Saturday and play for the seniors, and then they don't get too low because you don't want to be bringing stuff with you on the Saturday as well. So it probably epitomises football, that kind of saying, to be honest, and that's probably the biggest kind of lesson that I took away. And then the rushing decisions as well, and we spoke about that in the final, and the biggest takeaway from us from the final is we kind of thought the whole season, when things maybe necessarily weren't going away, we'd panic a wee bit and we'd make a sub, or we would do something because you feel like you need to do something. And then that cup final, obviously Knoxie gets sent off, and we put Ethan Harris to left back, who's a right-footed centre midfielder, and we're like, will we change it? And we kept saying, we'll give it 5 minutes, we'll give it 10 minutes, we'll see what happens. And 95 minutes later we've won 1-0, and Ethan's still playing left back. So it probably taught to just relax and don't just make decisions because you feel like you need to influence the game. Sometimes just let it kind of play out and see what happens.
I take it you just stepped down for the 20s just because your own career, aye?
Pretty much, I kind of touched on it there, but a year out, and I wasn't sure if I was going to go back playing. So when I did eventually get back and my knee took to it, I thought, I don't really want to kind of miss this opportunity. And I'd say to Andy that I didn't feel like I was given full kind of commitment to 20.
No, you can 4 nights a week out of the house, 5.
Well, 5 and
6.
Then you're doing other things because you're planning sessions, or you're trying to do things during work, so your work's taking a hit. And then, Martin's job's obviously shifts, so he's required to be places obviously at different days of the week. So it was just, I think for us it was the best thing at this moment to step back, and obviously it just so happened that Smiley was obviously there and everything just kind of went into place, which was better for Andy as well. I think Smiley will develop the 20s and give Andy a really good kind of foundation for bringing boys together.
Makes sense. So switching focus to your own playing careers, how would you describe your journey into the first team at Blackburn?
Interesting. I had kind of been at Broxburn for many years, and we'd been semi kind of successful, and then I went to kind of Bathgate for a year, and then meeting Jamie McCormick, who signed us at what was 25, which feels like a lifetime ago, but it was good. They were still in the Premier League at the time. Right. The change room was good, and it was fully some really good characters and some of my really close mates as well, which helped the decision to come into Blackburn. Obviously, kind of the facilities speak for themselves, and in West Lothian it's right up there with the kind of best. But I had kind of Marcus, who was the captain at the time, Fraser and David Howe, who are my really close mates, were all here, so the decision to come in just made sense. And it was a really good year. Obviously Jamie, and it was Craig Young that was there as well, and I'd played with Youngie at Broxburn, so he'd kind of pushed us to come in along with Jamie, and everything was good. It was really an easy decision. in the changing room helps that, and that's one thing. I don't think it really matters who you interview in the seniors. They'll all probably say the same thing, that the dressing room at Blackburn is really good, and that's probably what swayed it. And I've been here kind of ever since, so can't leave now.
That's you.
No, I was at Albion Rovers when I left Morton, and then played for them in League Two when they won League Two, and played for them when they got to the Scottish Cup quarter-finals, and played for them. I was on the bench a lot when they played Rangers in the Scottish Cup, and then I left Albion Rovers, went into the juniors in the West. I'm from Glasgow, so I was at Shotts in the West for a while. I say the West, it's very close to here, but I was in the West, and then with started my job, and I was out of football for a wee while, and came back in and was at St Roch's, and then left there, just wasn't finding anywhere, and then Jamie Sandilands got the job at Whitburn and asked me to come through to Whitburn, and to be honest, it tells you kind of a bit about my geography. I had no idea where Whitburn or Blackburn was, and originally I was like, nah, I can't come and play in the East, it's too far away. So I just come through and see what it's like, and I went through, and I ended up being there for 2 years, won 2 leagues back to back, and then just my last season there, I was vice captain to Martin Russell, who's obviously been in with Blackburn as well. Last season I never really played as much as what I would like to play. They were kind of going down a different kind of style of play, and to be fair, I didn't fit into the way they kind of wanted to play, and I was kind of left to try to get a club, and I wanted to stay in the East because I was away from the West and away from my work kind of through that neck of the woods, and I really enjoyed my time in the East, but I wanted to play up as high as I could, so I actually messaged Blackburn about coming in. Don't think a lot of people know that, but I messaged Blackburn come in and met Jamie, and the idea was that I would come in and see what it was like, and then thankfully that's now 3 years here, and like Scotty says, the dressing room and stuff like that is really, really good, and the kind of steps that the club are taking, as in getting a new park in, the set-up, speaking to Trevor, it seems like we're really trying to make strides, and I think on the park we can see that as well. We've obviously had 4 really good results in the league. There's been a couple that at the start of the season that weren't great. Last night I still think we had a good performance, so hopefully over the next couple of games we can kick on again, because the club does look like it's going places, but it needs to go to places like as a full, like can't just do it off the park. We obviously need to try and get it on the park, and to be fair, all the boys are wanting to do that. It's not like we're not trying to get that done, so hopefully we can certainly repay some of the things that's happening about the club by getting the results on the pitch as well.
Excellent. No, good stuff. Well, for the both of you, what's been the standout moment in a Blackburn shirt?
Put us on the spot with that one. Personally or as a team?
It's like the best memory in a Blackburn shirt.
Mine isn't really much a memory, but it's more it's probably going to be the start to this season, to be honest, and I know that might kind of be a bit of a weird way of putting at it, but we obviously lost the first game against Tynecastle, and I've slagged Josh about his holidays, but I was actually on holiday for the first game of the season, so I missed that. And then
like poor Gregor was shut down?
Aye, well, and then came back and we lost the second game to Edinburgh Uni, but I think last year I would really question, I wouldn't say question our attitude, but we could go under quite a bit last year, and losing the first 2 games, and then the games that we had coming up, obviously when the park was getting done, Kirkcaldy away, hard game, Thornton Hibs away, hard game, what was the other one? Whitehill Welfare away, and then Lincarty, who had just came down. You'd be looking at the 4 games and going, I don't know where this Blackburn team's getting much points, and we rattled off 12 out of 12, so...
You made quite an impact in the Kirkcaldy game, didn't you?
Aye, well, we'll just talk about my goal, we'll talk about the mistake.
We'll talk about the first one, absolutely, mate.
But so I think like the reaction for the boys, and there is this season a real togetherness in that changing room, that we've dug deep in games that I don't think we'd have done that last year. The Whitehill Welfare game we won 2-0, but it was 1-0 for long periods, and they bombarded us with balls into the box, and we stood strong to it. Lincarty, it was 2-1 for long periods, and they just had this boy that had the longest throw in the world, and just wanted to, every time the ball went out, just throw it in the box, and we withstanded that. Last night was a bit of a weird one. They had 2 shots and goal and scored the 2 of them, and we had numerous chances and didn't score them, so I'd say my best memory is potentially what's to come, because I do think the squad that's there now is in a good position. Maybe 1 or 2 things to come into it and we could be really good, so I think we're going the right places.
Good.
I think it would be hard to narrow down probably a favourite. I mean, a lot of the wins in the Premier League when we were in it kind of stick out because you know how hard it is to win games when you are there. So you know your Linlithgow's like going to Linlithgow and obviously kind of winning, getting a point at home. First game of the season, like personally for me that was my debut. Scored my debut, drew 1 each with Linlithgow, so that'd probably be my favourite memory in a Blackburn kind of shirt. But I would say, you know, there's been some really good trips away, there's been some really good characters, so rather than being a favourite memory in a Blackburn shirt, there's a few good stories at Blackburn that probably stick out a wee bit better than that. Including results maybe didn't go our way, but you know, even being able to play in kind of the bigger competitions like the Scottish Cup and stuff like that as well. Granted we haven't got as far as we would want to or personally kind of have been, but even getting the chance to do that at Blackburn hopefully will push the future kind of Blackburn teams to do well in that kind of competition, because that does open a lot of kind of doors. Like, so
that makes sense. I know we've touched on this briefly, but do you think that with your coaching it's affected you? I know you've said it might affect some of the things like you do in the first team. Do you think that it's affected the way you actually play?
I think you try and be a bit more vocal on the pitch. Obviously I think we're naturally probably kind of vocal anyway. I mean, Chaz is the captain and I'm kind of vice captain this season, but we've got the leadership group as well, which Martin's a part of, and I think it's probably helped with younger boys coming through, and you probably have a bit more of a soft spot rather than shouting right away. You want to help them
because you understand where the
yeah, exactly that. And we've got 20s that have come up, so you want to be a bit more helpful that way. I think you maybe see things in the game now that you would have never noticed before tactically, or what the other team's doing, and you're a bit more kind of aware of what's going on than previously. You know, you probably would have just never noticed that kind of stuff. But having watched kind of Friday nights unfold, you were watching the same things on Saturdays and want to do it differently, or probably made a bit more discipline for me, and probably just a bit more organisation. I think on the pitch you do naturally want to become a bit more vocal, because you were coaching on a Friday night. You just naturally took that into a Saturday, and you're probably a bit more vocal that way. That's probably the main takeaway, I think. That
communication.
I think it's more the communication and the organising side of it. I think you'll always play the same way. I mean, Scott's a talented player in the middle of the park that will win the ball and make things happen. I'll win my headers and defend a lot. That'll always be the main core of our game. But the actual organisation part of it, like Scotty says, you would see situations on a Friday night, and then on a Saturday you'd see them playing out again, and you go, right, to stop that from happening, I need you to get back in and back in here. So you're probably seeing stuff from a manager's point of view that Andy and that are probably seeing, but you'll try to fix it before it gets to that point. So I'd say that's probably the only thing that I can think of from playing side that's maybe changed, is that from experiencing some things that went wrong on the Friday night, you change that because you can see it happening in front of you going, well, I'm not going to let that happen again. That's probably the only thing that I would say.
No, 100%. Well, just looking, towards the sort of the future, for this season, like, what's your goals like as a collective and personally?
Personally, for me, it's just to try and stay fit, which a lot of boys will probably say I've never been fit, but it is definitely to try and stay fit and play as much as I possibly can. I mean, my whole probably football career's been start-stop with injuries, but my most serious one obviously came at Blackburn with kind of doing my knee, and I wasn't sure how much that would kind of impact my playing. So personally, it's to try and see if I can go a full season kind of injury free, because it's probably been about 10 years since I've done that. So that's a personal one. Collectively, I think we're all on the same page. Like, we all want to be playing back in that Premier League as high as possible, and this season with the kind of league restructures and the alignments and stuff like that, it's probably a really good opportunity for us as a club to get progressing into that league, and all the boys seem to be buying into that, and that's what's been driven home for the management as well, is to make sure we are in those kind of places that if it's not winning the league, it's automatic promotion, and it's back into kind of where Blackburn should be, because there's a kind of, and I've touched on that a bit, but facility wise and kind of community wise, the club does deserve to be a lot higher than what it is, and it's probably dropped down the leagues and stayed there for probably a wee bit longer than it envisioned at the time.
Yeah, just the exact same. Obviously, when you get a wee bit older, you just want to play for as long as you can and play as many games as you can. So obviously, currently now I'm starting the game, so hopefully I can continue to start as many games as possible this season and continue to play at a level which I'm happy with. I'm my harshest critic and that, so I think I've been alright this season, so continue to kind of try and put in good performances and help the team. And just the same as Scotty, like, I think the aim is to obviously finish as high up the league as possible. We obviously have the aim as a team to try and get promoted, but who's to say we can't go higher than that if possible. But I think the thing for us is not to have looked that far ahead as to kind of, not saying if take every game as it comes, but if you focus that far ahead you can start to panic if things, one game goes wrong, or what about this, what about that. Just kind of try and tick them off as they go, and the last 4 before last night were great, forget about last night and then try and get the next 4 to go great as well. So just to win as many games as we can, and if we do that we'll be there or thereabouts at the end of the season.
Fair enough. So longer term, would you know, if Father Time does catch up with us like it does to all of us, do you see yourself going into coaching or management, or do you think when you finally hang up your boots that'll be it? You could take a full step back, or?
I would. My missus is watching this, she'll go off on that. I would like to stay involved in football in some way. That will be dictated by personal life and obviously work situations. Last year obviously I helped Scotty out, but I didn't help him out anywhere near as much as what I wanted to. There was a lot of training sessions that I missed, and games that I missed just kind of due to work situations. So if I was going back into it, I would need some, as things currently stand, I would need somebody to be doing it with that can pick up a lot of the slack that I'd be kind of letting go. Scotty picked up a lot of that last year, and his brother Jay and Keir that helped us out picked up a hell of a lot of slack that I kind of didn't manage to give as much as what I wanted. I loved coaching, I loved being there, and if I was to chuck football playing wise, I would want to get back into it, but the caveat would be your personal life.
I think similar. Not so much the kind of personal life unless Emma's watching this life, but I would like to stay in about football for nothing else than it gives you a bit of discipline and routine. I don't know what I do on a Saturday, and I certainly don't want to be one of those that goes shopping up Livingston Centre. So I would probably look to stay in coaching. If that's management eventually, then that would be ideal. Obviously having a bit of a small kind of window into that at the 20s, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the kind of people side of it. Obviously my job revolves around a lot of kind of relationships and speaking to people every day, so I enjoyed that aspect. But the coaching side of it's obviously the fun bit, being on the grass, the Friday nights, the kind of watching other people do things that you try and replicate on a Saturday really poorly was a lot more enjoyable than I thought it was going to be. So I think that's probably made up my mind to hopefully do that after I stop playing, which touch wood is another couple of years.
Exactly.
I think it depends on what opportunity comes up as well. Like if it came back up, obviously that Scott had got something and wanted me to go back in, that'd be something that I'd be really interested in, because we do work well together. We've got the same opinions and things, but we've got probably different strengths, like in situations that just come about. Like I'm obviously a defender, Scott's more of an attacking kind of player, so that kind of ties in, and we have the same philosophy about things, but we also kind of come up with different ideas for stuff. So if that situation came up, Scott's going, no, because you didn't help me out much last year. But it all depends on what the opportunity would be as well, wouldn't it?
100%. It would be very much kind of opportunity based, and I think the good thing, like Martin's just said, like granted he wasn't there as much as he probably wanted to be, but as much as we got on and we had the same kind of views, we also had kind of healthy conversations that were negative and maybe disagreements that respected each other enough to kind of understand where the other person's coming from. Obviously I think that all centre halves should just be meet heated at the way forward, and I don't appreciate that side of the game probably as much as Martin does, so he's got his strengths that way, and that was the really kind of positive thing that we had, where yes, we agreed with a lot of stuff, but even if we didn't agree on stuff, we had a kind of healthy respect for each other.
You need that though. If you see the same things and just keep being with each other the full time, it's not going to work. But if you get that second opinion, you actually need to think about it and be like, well, actually, maybe we can change that up. Do you know what I mean?
And you've got to put your ego to one side as well, and actually accept that other opinions are right, and you're not always kind of going to be right, and that's obviously part of the learning curve, and a massive part of what the 20s probably did help with as well, is understanding that other people's opinions aren't necessarily wrong, and you've got to kind of be open to them.
Definitely. Well, if you could both achieve one more big milestone in football, what would it be?
I'd like to get Blackburn back to the Premier League, to be fair. I joined them in the Premier League, and some might say I'm part of the reason why we're not in the Premier League now, but I'd like to get back there. I think it's a club that deserves to be there. I think it's a club that treats boys correctly, and it looks after boys as well, and I think, granted, the amazing thing for me would be to play in the Scottish Cup kind of further rounds again, but I think as a more realistic kind of target at the moment for Blackburn, it would be to get into the Premier League, and I think that would be a nice place for me to leave football.
I'd like to get Blackburn back up as well. Like, we won for basically nothing. There's plenty of clubs that don't care for the players the way that Blackburn do, so to give a bit back and get the club back up a level to probably where they should be in terms of facilities and stuff like that. I know there's clubs that spend quite a good bit of money that are up there, and things would be difficult for Blackburn if we did go up, but that's where I see the club should be. So that would be nice. And the Scottish Cup's obviously a big one. This year we were unfortunate, we drew Darvel. I think last year we had an opportunity to go through, which we never took, but the Scottish Cup would be one that if we could get a decent draw, get through, that would be good for the club, and I kind of try and get us a nice cup run would be nice, but the league first and foremost, to go up one would be a good success.
Excellent. So before we go on to our quick fire rounds, finally, what does Blackburn United mean to you both after everything you've put into the club, both on and off the pitch?
I think for me, it's not what trying to be cheesy or anything like that, but it is a kind of family oriented club. I mean, there's plenty of clubs that you look at and it's one season and done or whatever, but you look at Blackburn, and I'm just talking about the senior team here. Jazza, gone on God knows how many years. Danny, however many years. Cal McDowell, yourself's been there a good while. Darryl Meeko's been there a good while. Peanut's been there a good while. And then you even go on to the ones that are recently there, like myself and Chrissy Hunter, 3 years, and people don't leave, which tells you that the club are doing something right with regards to these boys want to stay. And then you just look at it and you just go, you turn up for training, and there's every team on the park, and it is just a family run club, and you see Brian and all that love the club. It is a bit of a family, and everybody's kind of want to go in the one direction now, which seems really good, and they want to kind of drive it forward. So a really good community based club that has success right from the bottom. Could be all these kind of community clubs that are in place, and it's just about kind of trying to emulate that, kind of going forward holistically and get the club back to where it should be football wise for senior team.
It's spot on, to be honest. I wouldn't really kind of disagree with anything that was said there. What Blackburn kind of means to us is more what it means to everyone else when you look at the wider picture, the community, and even small things, like the family day that they had at the start of the season.
Start of the season, that was really good.
If I was to sum Blackburn up, that would sum it up. It is very much a family based club. It's like
even like Andy's stag do as well.
Exactly.
That was a great day.
And someone who's going to come and spend the kind of stag do at that club, it must mean something to them. And it is small things like that all add up to the bigger picture, which is obviously the community now. And I think with the vision of the community this season and bringing the community club in with the kind of first team and getting a lot more kind of closer to what they do, and them getting a lot more closer to seeing us, and mascots at the games, and all those sort of small things that make Blackburn obviously a really nice place to come and play your football. And like Martin touched on, that pitch is heaving Monday to Sunday, every single kind of hour. because people want to come and play their football there. So it's probably less what it means to probably us, it's more what it means to everyone else when you come around and listen to them, you know. And to be honest, if you ever needed, you know, someone to sum up, like Brian Meakin for example, you could come and talk for hours with Brian and you would only talk about Blackburn before you actually learnt that Brian was married or a dandy. And that's that sort of thing that you want to replicate back, and they do it so well through community pages, through things like this, through family days before, and now through getting mascots before games and stuff like that. You know, it makes you want to come and play here.
And I think that's like what Scott's saying there for a lot of the boys as well. See, when we see the young kids coming down to watch our games as well, it is good, and a lot of the boys comment on it, because you obviously want as many supporters as you can at these games, but that's your next generation, either as it players or as fans. So I think as a club we're doing the right thing, try to get them back involved. There is obviously sometimes more that you always want more, but we should be starting to know the kids that are coming to watch the games, and there should be more of a kind of interaction there, that they know who we are and we obviously know who the supporters are that's coming to the game. That encourages them to continue to come, and if we continue to hopefully win more games, then hopefully that can keep everything going and ticking over with a lot more crowds coming to games.
Brilliant. I know that makes sense, and yeah, definitely, I agree with you on that one. So, quick fire round. Both of yous, I know you're a defender. Best goal you've ever scored?
Best goal I've ever scored? I scored a goal in the juniors that I somehow managed to dribble the ball out and play a 1-2 with somebody at their box, and it just fell at me and I scored it. I don't know how I ended up there, but probably tried to chase my first touch and just kept on running, but it was a wee 1-2 with somebody, and then I've hurt it with my left foot, it just went posting in. Other than that, I'd need to go back to 7-a-side, where I've just struck one fully at the halfway line and it's went in, but an 11-a-side, I'd say that's probably my best.
I don't know, I've probably got a lot more examples than maybe Martin has.
Your one the other night in training was a belter, to be fair.
We could clip that. Try to think who we played in the Scottish Cup at Broxburn, and kind of boys played into us. I've kind of taken it in a half turn, managed to put it through a boy's leg, and then I've kind of put it into the bottom corner, put us 3-1 up. Other than that, good one for basket. I'm trying to think of the ones that you can actually go on YouTube and watch, to be honest. Scored a decent goal for Bathgate against Plumfurston. Again, kind of got the ball knocked it by somebody kind of 25-30 yards out and managed to put it in top corner. But other than that, I feel like I spend half my time getting booked or chasing other folks' first touches. So
I scored a good game against Bathgate as well, thinking back for what pun. It was a bullet that came in, and you might actually been playing that game for Bathgate.
No chance of
that. That's the only other one I can think of recently.
That's brilliant.
Who's the toughest team you've ever played against?
I'll let you go first.
Name an individual for that team as well.
See, to be honest, like probably like one of the old firms, like playing against Celtic. Obviously at the time, one of our kind of close mates, that I grew up with, Liam Henderson, also at Celtic. You know what he's went on to do. I don't know if he's remember the boy Islam Frouz. Ended up going down to Chelsea. He was at Celtic at the time, probably one of the best kind of players I've seen at that level. I'd probably have to go with that, or we actually played Utrecht for Holland in a friendly. I'm not going to know any of these boys' names, so don't ask us, but we played them in a friendly, and just watching that kind of style of football, even at that kind of young age, kind of drilled in was kind of special. So I'd probably say one of those two, obviously leaning towards the old firm, just because Celtic were very good and I was cheering on them while I was playing. So.
Obviously when you played youth football there was teams that were really good. We played Queen's Park quite a bit when I was at Morton, and they had a few really good players in their team. They had Lawrence Shankland, Andy Robertson, Aidan Connolly, who plays with Dunfermline, I think it's maybe Dunfermline or something like that. They had a right good few players that have went on to have a really good career in the game, but to be honest, see playing against them, I mean, they never really ever stood out that I can 100% remember. Remember playing against Bro for Albion Rovers, and Simon Murray played up front and I had to mark him in that game. And again, didn't massively stand out. The one that massively stood out, I played against Queen's Park for Albion Rovers, and they had Eamon Brophy on loan, and he's at, I don't know, he's at Morton now. he was brilliant. Small but incredibly strong, pacey, ran down channels. He was very, very tough to play against. I don't know if it was just that day. That was actually in between the Rangers game, and it was a replay, and we rested quite a lot of boys at Albion Rovers. That's how I was actually playing. So it was very much a reserve team that played. So I don't know if that maybe contributed to things, but we were under the cosh that day, and I just remember him and the boy Blair Spittle played as well. The two of them were very, very good, and that's two that I can remember as in standout performances individual wise would have been they two.
Good stuff. Messi or Ronaldo?
Messi.
Ronaldo.
Fair enough. Who's the biggest character in the Blackburn dressing room?
Now.
Come on.
To be honest, you're probably tough to go quite far to take it away from Beansy.
Just looking at the group chat.
Aye, Beansy's.
You wake up, it's like Beansy deleted a message. Oh no, what is going on?
He's a right character in a good way. Then you've got Kyle Connolly who managed to talk to himself for the whole of a Saturday night on a different level.
I love Kyle.
So you've got probably two.
Aye.
But Beansy, obviously, I mean, no one gets a nickname like Beansy and isn't he a character because of what it stands for. So I'd probably get them.
It has got to be Beansy or Blair Gallagher if people don't know who Beansy is yet, but I'm assuming everybody probably will.
Or go back to episode 1 and watch it.
Kyle's a shout as well.
Kyle is up there, to be fair.
I think Peanut's dead funny as well. With just how he goes about things at times. He's in one of the world he's way in. But Beansy takes a winner.
3G or grass?
We've won all games in grass this year. No, I think I would go 3G over grass depending on the grass surface. See if you're going to get a top level grass surface, everybody's going to pick grass every day of the week, but with some of the pitches that you play on, Bobblesville and muck, and you just can't keep your feet even with studs on, you pick a good 3G any day of the week over that. But I think if you're going to say a really good 3G or a really good grass, somebody would probably go for grass.
Aye, I would go grass. If you were getting two in the same nick, I would go grass every day of the week.
Oh, definitely. Well, pre-match meal.
So mine's just been the same forever, to be fair. It's always toast, scrambled egg and beans. Mine's has not been the same forever. I'm all over the place. If I've come off a night shift, I'll eat something completely different than what I'll eat if it's just waking up and whatever time. So sometimes I'm scrambling together to get something, just to get something in me. So it could be cornflakes and a bit of toast, or it could be really anything. But in the main, I try and have like toast and beans or something like to get something. So it's not.
What was it last week? It was the large Big Mac meal, wasn't it?
Aye. Nah, not at all. No, I tend not to actually eat too much before a game. I don't feel great when I feel bagged up at times. So sometimes just a bowl of cornflakes, then a Squares bar, and then a banana on the way into football, and that's me.
Didn't forget the 3 Imodium and all.
Aye, 3 Imodium as well.
Aye.
VAR, keep it or scrap it?
I'd scrap it. I hate it. I honestly, I hate watching football now at a top level. I find it boring. Again, I'm being biased because I'm an attacker, but even you'd probably agree that the best thing in football is to score a goal, and now you can't celebrate it because you don't know if it's actually legitimate or not. And again, there's so many inconsistencies with it that I personally, I've never liked it, and I can't see me ever enjoying it anytime soon. So I'd probably edge on scrapping it, but if I was to keep it, I would just get 2 normal blokes in there and no refs, because I think like the refs overthink it, and if it's any small thing, they'll be like, "Oh, go and have a look at it." I think it just needs to come down to you've got 30 seconds to review it. See in the 30 seconds, if you kind of turn around and go, "Oh, you've made a mess of that," then allow it to go, because it's clearly not worth it. This stopping it, pausing it, rewinding it, that's not what the game's been made for. It's been made to be quick and enjoyable, like what it says, to not be waiting 5 minutes.
It loses the energy of the game completely.
Especially with the way that football's going with the whole pass and Pep Guardiola stuff. And it slows it down even more when you go to the monitor.
I would just take it straight back to it was brought in to get rid of clear and obvious errors. See if you can tell in 30 seconds if it's a clear and obvious error. It's not that clear and obvious. Just move on.
Well, what's your dream achievement then? Would you rather win a cup as a player or manage Blackburn to silverware?
I mean, I've already done one of them, mate, so...
First team then?
Because you're still playing, it'd be winning a cup while we're still playing.
Stupid question.
I think obviously winning the cup was great last year, but it was great for the boys. Like, it was great to see all of them enjoying it. For us, it was like, it was good, but it's not something that's right at this point in time the be all for us. We've obviously got our football careers that we want to kind of go and try and win things for, and fortunate enough to have been able to have done that so far. So nothing beats you being on the park and you feeling like you've went out and done it. Coaching it was probably more of a relief that we got something at the end of it rather than an achievement, if that's probably one way of putting it. Because we were obviously trusted to take the team for the year, and actually getting something at the end of it was probably more of a relief than thinking, yes, we've went and done it, to be honest.
Watch as well.
Oh, terrible game.
You know, see, when you can't have any influence over anything, that's a horrible feeling to just kind of stand there and watch things kind of unfold. So I'd definitely pick the winning silver. I haven't won too much in my senior career, unfortunately, but the stuff that I have won, I've enjoyed a lot more than that 20s Cup game. That was just a baggy nerves for the whole time, and then relief at the end of it rather than enjoyment. So,
good stuff. Okay, very last question then before we let you go. If you could wave a magic wand at Blackburn United and change one thing, what would it be? The car park? So I keep mentioning this every week. But...
You're right up there, to be fair.
Can I mention Beansy getting his toenails back? Because that would be really nice for a personal level to stop receiving photos.
He's on tablets for them, to be fair. If I had to change anything, I've had to change anything. It'd be attendances probably, like, and I know that comes off the back of performances as well. Like, if we start winning games and we start battling goals, and people want to come in.
But if you knew of a good core attendance, audience that you're going to be there,
and I think
that would help.
As soon as you've got a core there and you've got money coming in at the end, drives the club forward again to maybe bring in players that are going to get you over that line, whether it's keeping them out at one end. I'm not just saying got a goalkeeper, I'm just saying defensively or whatever. We stop at the one end, then you maybe get that bit of quality at the other end that gets you the goals, that wins the games in the tight affairs. It comes from that atmosphere, and if we can get that atmosphere kind of into the club with more supporters in the doors and more of a kind of interaction between us and them, and we can kind of go together, I think that would be the thing that I would probably change if I could. And that's not the crowd people that are coming in, because I know they've got their own stuff that they need to do on a Saturday and stuff like that, but for the community, like when you look at all the teams and all the parents and all the kids that are there is massive scope for hundreds of people to come to the games, and if we can get a few of them in, and for us to make them feel welcome and make them enjoy their Saturdays with us, that would be something that would be really, really good.
But the car park's a great shout. That car park's a nightmare, so I'll take that one, just so I'm not agreeing with Martin the whole time.
Aye, and maybe a few less black beads, because my missus is the same as you. She thought we'd get a rabbit and she didn't know about it because there's tons of black bits in the house.
Especially at the bottom of the stairs, we take the shit, it's everywhere, it's just a nightmare.
Did nobody tell them that just because they bought it all didn't mean they had to use it?
Well, listen guys, that's been an absolute pleasure. I've really enjoyed the conversation tonight, so thank you for coming in, and good luck at the weekend.
Cheers, thanks very much for having us.
Cheers.
Thanks very much for watching guys, we'll all catch you next week. See you later.